1.
Forensic science can be used to figure out who the killer and the victim were in that skit. Forensic biology can be used to identify the fingerprints from the shooter and the DNA from the victim. Digital forensics can be used to track the text to the shooter to pull the trigger, and ballistic forensics can be used to determine where the shooter was based on how the victim fell and where the bullet was. Forensic science consists of forensic biology, digital forensics, forensic chemistry, and ballistic forensics. Forensic biology is the application of scientific principles and methods to matters of law, particularly in criminal and civil investigations, according to Joseph Scott. Forensic biology uses hair, blood, fingerprints, and other things from humans to determine who the suspect is. These are first used by collecting the samples. Then these samples are sent to a lab where they are processed. Things like hair can be matched to a person's hair color, so if only one suspect has black hair and the hair they find is black, they know who did it. Fingerprints are also used. So there are multiple types of fingerprints, however. This means that all cannot be treated the same. Fingerprints on soft surfaces such as soap are called patent or latent prints. Patent prints are visible prints that can be seen by the human eye, while latent prints are invisible. So patent prints are pretty easy to collect. They just take a picture of them. But latent prints are harder to collect as they are invisible and need other ways to be processed. These can be fingerprint powders or chemicals or alternative lighting. Fingerprint powders often deteriorate the fingerprint and leave it mangled and messed up. However, alternative lighting does not, so they should try this first. They will then use the fingerprint and compare the density of the lines as well as the spacing to compare it to fingerprints that they already have recorded. They may also fingerprint suspects in case they aren't in the database already, and then compare this to their sample. However, there is not always a solution with fingerprinting, so they may have to do something else in case of an explosion or a fire. If there's an explosion or a fire, they can find bone fragments. These bone fragments can almost always be found in cases where other sort of evidence can be not be found. This is called DNA profiling. This is because when they find those bone fragments, they can extract DNA from them. This DNA can then be processed in a lab, and they can see what certain phosphate bases are in this DNA and which place they go. So this means that if they have an A or a T in a certain place, then they know that the suspect that doesn't have an A or a T in that place is innocent. So how they decide where these DNA go is through a computer program. So here's an example of the DNA in this. As you can see, the graph and the two data points are similar, meaning the evidence sample and the suspect match. Another way forensic science can determine who suspects are is serologically. This is to be done if there is blood or other human fluid, but nothing else. These tests first collect samples of whatever liquid they're using. These samples are then decided if it's human or not human. If it's not human, they cannot use this, but if it's human, they can, obviously. So once they do this, they must refrigerate the sample to preserve it, as they can go bad if they're not refrigerated, and then this process cannot be used. So after they make sure they preserve it right, they take it to a lab. They run tests to see what antibodies are in the blood. These antibodies can include quantity, quality, or function. So quantity is the amount. So if someone has a certain amount of an antibody and the suspect does not, then they're innocent. Quality is what type of antibodies there are. So if there's not a certain type of antibody, but there is a suspect, they know it is not them. Function is how the certain antibodies perform, if they work well or if they don't work well. So therefore, they can determine who it is. These antibodies can be things like chickenpox, measles, and HIV. So then, after they compare the antibodies in your blood, they get a graph like this. As we can see in this test, the suspect only has one antibody that is similar to the suspect's. Therefore, he is probably not the suspect. So in conclusion, forensic biology uses things like hair, DNA, and fingerprints to determine whose DNA matches to whose. This can help in crime matters and civil matters.
The digital footprint is a vital component of digital forensics that can help prove the innocence or guiltiness of someone in the name of law. Your digital footprint is a history of what you've done on the internet. In digital forensics, law enforcement use electronic stored data such as text, phone calls, FaceTimes, and Google searches to find evidence of a crime. Somebody's digital footprint is their history of their technological use stored online. Every person with internet access has but one of these under their name. Somebody's digital footprint contains information such as their social media posts, their texts, their phone calls, their emails, and much, much more. Detectives use this data to help uncover the truth behind a crime. On many websites, it will say that a message is deleted, but it really isn't. As stated in Atomic Mail, even if you delete your Facebook post, clear your browser history, or wipe your photos, fragments of your data can still remain. This shows that even if you try and cover something up, it's not possible. Detectives will scan the suspect's search history to find useful information. For example, if a car is found in a crime scene, detectives will look through the suspect's history, trying to find anything that relates to that car. This is not only cars though. Detectives will look at every text, call, search, and post to find anything related to the crime. With all of this information, you might be wondering where it may be kept. Well, nearly all of the personal information and data is stored in your iCloud. This is where all the pictures you take, texts you send, and personal data is found. Many different websites will store the activity you do on them. So if you were to ask Instagram to watch dog videos, they would be stored on there. The physical devices you use also contain hardware with your recent internet history. Detectives can gather information through coding and hardware to access the hidden information physically or online. They use forensic tools to help recover data even if it's been deleted. As Braven Investigations points out, when a user deletes a text message, it often isn't immediately wiped from the device's memory. Instead, the phone's operating system marks the space as available for new data. This helps to show that the data deleted is not actually deleted. Every digital camera creates a permanent record. Law enforcement uses digital forensics to analyze this data. The digital footprint is a powerful tool that can solve cases. So next time you're going to go rob a store, make sure you don't tell your getaway driver the plan by text.
My topic is on forensic chemistry, and I wanted to spend a few minutes exploring what forensic chemists actually do and why their work is so important. Forensic chemistry is a branch of forensic science that focuses on analyzing physical evidence, things that aren't alive, like powders, liquids, and residues. These scientists use chemistry to help solve crimes by identifying unknown substances that detectives find at the crime scenes. As the National Institute of Justice explains, forensic chemistry is the application of chemistry to law enforcement or the failure of products or processes that is used to identify the nature of materials found at the crime scene. This means that forensic chemists play a crucial role in solving mysteries by figuring out what unknown substances really are. One of the main jobs of a forensic chemist is to figure out what a mysterious substance is. Imagine like a white powder is found at the crime scene. Is it sugar, baking soda, or could it be something dangerous like a drug? Forensic chemists run chemical tests to discover exactly what the powder is. Sometimes their tests can reveal if the substance is a controlled drug, which could be a major clue for investigators. They can also test for other things, like whether a liquid is gasoline or another type of fire accelerant. This helps investigators understand how a crime happened, like if there was a fire started on purpose or if it was by accident. Forensic chemists also analyze evidence for explosives. If there is an explosion somewhere, small samples from the scene are sent to the lab. Chemists use special tools to find out if there are any explosive chemicals present, and if so, what kind. And this information can help police track down who made or used the explosives. Their careful analysis can be the difference between solving a case and leaving it unsolved. Forensic chemistry isn't just about the science, it's about using science to help people. The result of their test can be used as evidence in court, which means their work can help prove someone's innocent or guilt. In summary, forensic science play a key role in figuring out what unknown substances are, whether they are drugs, explosives, or other materials. Their work gives detectives and courts the scientific facts they need to solve crimes and keep communities safe.
Ultimately, beyond the technical terms of internal, external, and terminal ballistics, this science is about how much lives it changes. Forensics are needed to prove so many things and let people know the truth. Every microscopic mark analyzed in a lab is a step forward, answering critical questions for victims and their families. Forensic ballistics ensures that while human memories may lie or fail, the physical evidence does not. It is a field that constantly evolves with new technology, ensuring that we continue to shed light on dark events and provide definitive answers when they are needed. Most.
In conclusion, forensic science is an essential part of solving modern-day crimes and delivering justice. By using a combination of chemistry, biology, physics, and even computer science, forensic experts help turn mysterious clues into clear evidence. Whether it's analyzing fingerprints, unknown powders, blood samples, or digital data, forensic scientists use their knowledge and technology to uncover the truth about what really happened at a crime scene. And an example of this is that some scientists could find a bag of white powder at a scene. And you never know, it could be especially dangerous and a very bad drug. But they use things like magnifying glasses and experiments to test what it really is and how the crime should be settled. The work done by forensic scientists is not just about science, it's about helping people. Their findings can prove someone's innocence or guilt in court, bring closure to families, and ensure that the right person is held responsible. Forensic science also helps prevent future crimes by learning from evidence and improving safety in our communities. Overall, forensic science shows us the power of careful observation and scientific thinking. It reminds us that even small details, a single hair, fiber, or a drop of liquid, can make a huge difference in solving a case. As technology advances, forensic science will continue to grow and play an even more important role in making our world safer and more just.